guys, John here with Survival Dispatch, and today I'm joined by Chris Weatherman.
What's up, brother? It's been a while since we've done this.
You know,
so
Chris and I are in studio. Man, we are sitting down.
We're in chairs today because we got some stuff to talk about. We're gonna take a hot minute.
are just going to have a general discussion.
On a couple things.
This is something that Chris and I do quite often. We travel a lot together.
Yep.
And we just have those car talks, truck talks.
We should start recording some of those.
Should. But it's one of those things where, you know, we're going to take a podcast journey today and really just start talking about breaking down situations.
Yep.
We'll come up with a title for this series soon, but you know, this is just Chris and I sitting down and having something to drink or, you know, whatever, relaxing after lunch and shooting videos and really just going down and breaking down a topic that we have been discussing on the phone or in the truck or just hanging out in the woods. So today's topic.
Yeah, that's a good one. What really is the SHTF?
Yep. Because everybody puts it on every video, every article.
Yeah.
It's SHTF.
Everybody says it, but to every individual it's different.
Right.
You know, and you are far more likely to suffer your personal SHTF moment as you are opposed to the end of the world SHTFs that everybody's planning for. But if you're planning for that end of the world one, you should be able to meet those personal ones pretty well. Yeah. But then there's some caveats to that. Like I've got a bit of a personal SHTF moment going on right now, in that my septic tank drain field has to be replaced. My yard is it's pooling in my yard.
And that's not fresh water.
No, that's not fresh water. And so I'm having to do things like I've got temporary fencing up to keep my dogs from getting in there. I'm out there with the tractor digging holes just so it has somewhere to pool, stops running all over my damn yard. Right. You know, and that's a $3,500 expense. Yeah. You know, fortunately, I mean, I can take care of it, but not something I was planning on. Yeah. And if you didn't have some cash put back, that'd be a real problem.
Yeah, and you know, and I think that's the biggest thing is we jump straight to an EMP, to a terrorist attack,
nuclear wars, financial collapse,
where we're really talking about, you know, do we have money set aside for a personal issue? That's really what this SHTF situation.
That's all this is.
It's not going to be solved by a bag.
Nope.
It's not going to be solved by a vehicle.
There's nothing.
Bug out area.
There's nothing in my preps that are helping me with this other than my tractor, allowing me to move dirt and move some stuff to just mitigate it temporarily. And you know, and could I go out there and do it myself? Absolutely, I could. I have the equipment, backhoes, the whole thing. But it's time, and I'm a busy guy. You know, contrary to what you guys think. And you know, it's a couple days of time that I need to be spending working on books for y'all, which is what I've been doing. I know they're slow coming, but we've been doing it. But like we were talking about this personal SHTF. I had a lady contact me a couple years ago. She said she had just read my first book, and now she was like, you know, scared. She's like, well, I need to do something, and she's like, where do I start? And so I asked her. I said, you know, look, if you lost your job today, I said, do you have any money put back so you could pay the rent next month? You know, pay your light bill, maybe feed yourself. And she didn't like that answer. Yeah. She disliked that answer so much, she actually got mad at me and then went away. And
book 2 was really good. She should have at least read book 2.
But I found that kind of interesting that, you know, everybody wants to prepare for these.
They want a bunker.
Yeah, everybody wants to bunker. Everybody wants to bunker, or they want to get things to feel more prepared. Because most people, most of you guys, I'm looking right at you, you don't go get training. We're going to talk about this in a minute. A lot of you do not practically apply the skills as far as like go out and do it. So a little hard medicine there, you know, you have to do these things. If you want to be ready when the time comes to deal with whatever may come, you've got to get out and practice this stuff, you know, and think about it holistically. You know, I just spent a weekend or 4 days at Cocoa Beach at a really nice resort with my wife and my daughter, and we brought friends with us, and we paddleboard and we played in the beach. I mean, you have to live your life. If you're living your life right now in a method to survive the SHTF, you're missing out. You're missing out a lot. You know, I prepare for those things, but I still live a life. You know, I'm flying to Ohio tomorrow. You know, you've got to enjoy your life, but you've got to balance it. You know, you do have to be prepared. And maybe if it's like, okay, I've got an extra $1,500 and we could go on vacation, but we have exactly 3 days worth of food in this house. Maybe you balance that a little bit. Take half of that money, go buy some food, and do a staycation.
Yeah.
You know, go to a state park, do something local. But find that balance.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been in this, you've been in this preparedness stuff, you know, probably as long as I have, and it can consume you.
Yep.
You know, it could take you over, and you got to be careful of that. Don't let it consume you, because trust me, when the fecal matter really does hit the oscillator for real, you're going to want to be able to look back on those days at the beach with your family,
and
or
have
at
a
the
memory,
and have those good memories, because those are the things that are going to keep you going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, people don't believe me when I say that, but I'm like, you talk to any guy who's ever served anywhere or found themselves in hard conditions, like the fellow that was trapped into the rock. What did he do? He was thinking about his family, his friends. You know, they think about their kids. They think about stuff they want to do when they get home. They want to live, you know, and living now is pretty damn good and easy. Living after the SHTF, those fond memories are going to be few and far between.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with using SHTF as we use it as a broad.
It's very broad.
Such a broad term. We might as well just say event.
Yeah.
If something happens.
Yep.
I think the first steps is people have to break it down and section it. You start with personal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What can happen to us? You know, and every person is different.
Absolutely.
Chris has family members, you know, his daughters and stuff that have a situation health-wise.
Yeah, they're type 1 diabetics.
Type 1 I don't have that
Nope.
in anybody in my family.
Yeah.
So you have a different trail to blaze than I do.
Yeah, and it frames how I look at everything too. It frames how I prep. That I got to prep stuff you don't have to worry about, you know. And you probably do things that I don't have to worry about. You know, and you got little ones. I don't have to worry about little ones.
And we'll be, you know, Chris and I are always open and honest here with everything. You know, I mean, I have a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old at home.
Yeah.
You don't.
Nope.
So, you know, that's something that I have to prepare for. My wife has suffered seizures in the past.
Yeah.
That's something that Chris doesn't have to worry about, or most of you don't have to worry about. So it's one of those things where we start with the personal issues that might happen, because those, I would have to say, are the most likely.
Well, they're absolutely the most likely. I mean,
happen.
A bad
you
car
live your life every day.
It's like, you know, some of you know, my dad recently passed away, and he had been fighting a prolonged illness that was untreatable, and it was terminal, and we knew it, and he and I had, you know, we'd come to terms with it a long time ago. And then my mom had a couple back-to-back major surgeries, and she was bedridden. And I get a call from my dad a couple of weeks ago, and he just said he needed me to come to the house right now. I happened to have, at the time, Alan Kay was in town. He and I went to my dad's house. Dad wasn't in very good shape, but we spent like 2 days there assisting him, keeping him going, but we could see it.
Yeah.
The three of us knew it. Dad knew it, I knew it, Alan knew it, and we sat in the living room and we joked and we talked. My mom was, like I said, she's bedridden. She was in a hospital bed and I was checking on her and taking care of her. That was a real SHTF moment because, you know, within 24 hours, my dad passed with us sitting right there with him. We knew it was coming, didn't expect it that fast.
Right.
My mom was 100% dependent on outside care. So that was a real issue, you know. But to Mom's credit, she's a trooper. She's up and walking now. She's mobile again. You know, that event motivated her in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, and for her, you know, you think about that, if she didn't have a support network and didn't have some people around. I mean, Alan stayed at the house and took care of my mom. Well, my daughter ended up in the ER at the same moment. She had ended up with a severe kidney infection, and I actually had to leave to go deal with that. And Alan's like, I got you, I'm here. And he stayed and he took care of my mom for me, you know. So you got to plan for that. And part of that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is, in that planning, what's that word that I like to say a lot to you guys? What's that word we like to talk about? community. That's what survival dispatch is. You've got to have a community. I reached out to a friend of mine who is a friend of mine through this community of what we do. He's a physician's assistant. I called him. I said, Mark, I need your help. I need you to come to the house and check my mom out. She still had surgical drains in and stuff. He's like, I will be there as fast as I can get there. And he brought his wife, who's also a medical professional. They came right in. He checked her over. He gave her a thumbs up. He's like, she's doing great. He's like, considering what she's gone through, she's doing fantastic. But that was reassuring that her doctor had made 4 home visit appointments with her and never showed up to any of them. I made 1 phone call, and I had a professional standing right there, ready to go. Community, guys, you know, if you want to survive a personal SHTF moment, it's going to be your resources, your fortitude and will, and your community. If you want to survive the end of the world when it happens, it's going to be your resources, your fortitude, and your community. Community can't be stressed enough, in my opinion. Personal in nature, regional in nature. You know, think about after we see these horrible hurricanes and the floods and things that happen. What happens? Those communities come together. They come together stronger and tighter than they ever have previously, most of the time. Of course, there's the typical looting, and there's those that are out there going to try to take advantage of the situation. But as a whole, they come together.
And I mean, that's a perfect segue right into the next, I think, the next area. So you go from personal to, I would say, regional.
Yeah, a regional one.
And regional factors in now natural disasters.
More prevalent than anything else that's going to happen to you.
Right, natural disasters, which are different per region.
You
know, Chris and I, as most of you guys know, we live in Florida, so we deal with hurricanes. If you live up north, it could be snowstorms.
Snowstorms, tornadoes, could be flooding.
I had a good friend of mine down a couple weeks ago. We went on a hunting trip. He is in Indiana. When that polar vortex came down, it literally swung 100 degrees in Indiana in 2 days. It went from 50 degrees to -50 when that polar vortex came down to like 50 the next day. Furnaces froze. You know, pipes broke everywhere. So, you know, they were at that point in an SHTF situation.
Absolutely.
He's in Florida. His wife and kids are in Indiana. You know, they're trying to get space heaters going, and I mean, it's -40 degrees outside, and they're trying to heat a house. He's in Florida. He can't even get there.
No, he can't even fly in at this point.
He can't fly in. He can't drive there. So, you know, I mean, it's things like that. So you take in regional. Regional might also mean, what do you have around you? Nuclear plants. What is the power
was
structure?
it Houston?
Like?
Where was that chemical fire at? That was in Houston? I mean, you look at that, you know, that it's smaller than regional, but for your town, I mean, you know, if the police come and say, hey, there's toxic smoke coming this way, you have to leave your house right now. You know, what's your plan? Do you have a place to go? Do you have stuff ready to get out fast? And where are you going to go? You have a community you can reach out to and say, hey, man, can we couch surf? Can I bring the wife and kids over? We're, you know, might be crowded, but I got to get out of my house. Or are you going to have to do it in a hotel, which is fine too, as long as you have the resources. And when we say resources, that goes, I don't care if it's money or firewood or food or medical supplies or damn water, it's still a resource. Money in our current society and situation is really your greatest resource, because it's the resource that gets you all the other ones. So, you know, you need to plan that way too. You know, and I hate financial planning. I hate even talking about money.
He's horrible with money.
My wife's bad with money. I'm not.
So, you know, but you have to. I believe every person has to sit down when it comes to regional SHTF situations, write down the possibles, write down the likelies, and then figure out what you're going to have to do in order to conquer those. So one of the things that Chris and I have looked at multiple times, because we drive up and down it on a weekly basis, is Interstate 75. So for those
on it today.
So for those that don't know, Florida pretty much has two large interstates that run down it, 75 and 95.
75's on the west side-ish, 95's on the east side. So
and you know, 95 cuts a lot shorter. 75 goes pretty much all the way down to Miami. The issue is tens of millions of people have moved to the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And Interstate 75 has not changed.
Nope.
It's 2 lanes.
Yeah.
So I live in north central Florida, 10, 15 miles off the interstate. And we don't get as many hurricanes here in north central Florida as they do Miami, Fort Lauderdale, places like that. But you should see the parking lot. I mean the interstate.
Yeah.
When people try to evacuate from south.
And Florida's even smart. They'll turn, so you got 2 lanes northbound, 2 lanes southbound. They'll turn all 4 lanes into northbound traffic. They try, but now you just have 4 lanes. Of parking lot, and people run out of fuel, and they don't have anything to drink. And when we see this up north, you guys experience the same things with snowstorms. You get people trapped in their cars, and they're not prepared. Remember the snowstorm that hit Atlanta, the blizzard that hit Atlanta back several years ago? People had to get out of their cars and walk home in rush hour traffic. And they weren't dressed for that. They live in Atlanta. You had ladies in stockings and heels trying to walk in 6 inches of snow in Atlanta to get out of that because they weren't prepared. Now, is a snowstorm high on the list of probabilities for Atlanta? No.
Nope.
But
it's possible.
With our current meteorological resources, it wasn't an absolute surprise. They knew it was coming. And they still didn't do a damn thing to get ready for it. I had a friend that was there then, and he's like, I got out of the truck. He's like, I put my boots on, picked up my pack. He's like, I started walking, and it was just sheer amazement. He goes, disbelief at some of the things he was seeing. How utterly unprepared that the people were that dealt with it.
Yeah, so you got to look at the possibles and the likelies, and that depends on your region. It could be hurricanes, tornadoes, snowstorms, floods.
Some of you guys are dealing with them now.
And it all changes, but you got to write those down, and then you got to come up with a plan to tackle those potential issues. Because we always want to jump straight to, and no pun to Chris here, the EMP. How many EMPs have happened to America since 1776?
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
Well, there was that one little one that got Hawaii a little bit, but we did it ourselves.
Whoopsie. You forgot to carry.
Starfish
They
Prime,
forgot to carry the one.
Yeah.
They forgot to carry the one on the distance of the radius of that. But it's one of those things where we want to try to plan for that, yet we don't plan for personal SHTF situations. We don't plan for regional SHTF situations.
It's kind of crazy. I think there's unfortunately, in my opinion, there's the misplaced sexiness of these events of, life's going to be easier and I won't have to deal with it. And life is going to suck beyond measure. I write in the world, obviously in fiction, but I also write in nonfiction as well, which I'm doing right now. We're doing a manual. You guys have been asking for it. We're finally getting it done. And in particular, in this manual, what you guys are going to see, because this is unlike any survival manual we're doing. The only reason I'm doing it is because it brings it around to the point we just said is, it's unlike any survival manual that you've ever read anywhere, and it's unlike any one you'll probably ever find again. But the number one thing that we say in there is that no one is coming to save you, okay, and that this stuff is your responsibility. And it's not going to be fun. We stressed that pretty hard in here too, and we take on a lot of the myths in this book of, well, I'm just going to deer hunt. If you guys out there that think you're going to deer hunt and stuff, go back and look at deer populations in 1900. All the way up through about 1930.
Hey, remember when we used to have buffalo?
Well,
they used to roam.
White-tailed deer and even mule deer more so. White-tailed deer were nearly extirpated from the North American continent. They were almost hunted to extinction. There's a guy that I follow his podcast a lot. If you guys like hunting and stuff, check him out, Stephen Ranella. He's a great dude. I've talked to him before. He does an excellent podcast, and he said, growing up in Michigan as a kid.
And the name of it is?
Oh, I'm sorry, Meat Eater. Yeah, my bad.
It's also on Netflix.
Yeah,
if you want to watch
it's a Netflix show. He's a great guy, conservative, or not conservationist. He's very big into conservation and hunting. But he said when he was growing up in Michigan, if he saw a white-tailed deer, he ran home to tell his dad about it. It was that big a deal. That's Michigan. You look at Michigan whitetail hunting now, there's trophy deer there. We have wildlife in this country game animals because we have decided to have them. Go look at Europe and what they have for game animals.
Yep.
So, in 1900, there were 76 odd a million Americans in this country. We're over 4 times that now. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen to game when there are no restrictions? Yeah. Plan accordingly, folks. The romance never lives up to the reality. Yeah. And I can't say that enough. It's a little tagline that I use on a lot of stuff, but the romance of doing something never lives up to the reality. It happened to me over the weekend. So, Mel, she loves to paddleboard. And we bought these damn paddle boards, and we took them to the beach. And she's like, I want to take it out in the surf. And I'm like, I don't know about that. She's like, it'll be fun. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So we take them down there. Yeah, that was not fun. She still says she has fun. I got video that makes
zero fun.
It didn't look fun to me. What happened there? I mean, hell, it wasn't fun what happened to me. And what she kept trying. And I'm like, you're just going to be hard-headed here, aren't you? She kept going out there. I'll give her credit. But the romance of, get out there and ride over these waves. And
Instagram.
No, you get out there and you're in a damn washing machine, I mean, with a 12.5-foot board tied to your leg, I mean.
It's like a canoe without sides.
Yeah, that really wants to tip over bad. And but that's romance and reality. The romance of it, this sounds cool. I'll ride a wave. Shit. But that's what we do as people. We envision, we see things the way we want to see them, not the way they really are. Anybody who wants a real reality check of what this kind of thing looks like, check out Venezuela right now. Their power's in and out all the time. Like the power came on in Caracas, I think yesterday, at 6 p.m. By 9 it was out.
Yep.
Think of that. You're living in whatever city you live in right now, and the power goes out, and they're trying like hell to fix it, but it's been off for 3 days. All right, we finally get the power back on. The lights come on, the water's running.
We're good.
We're good, and you're in there cooking dinner. Ooh, down it goes again. And you don't know when it's coming back on. And you look out your window and there's a huge substation on fire. That's what's going on down there.
Yeah.
And it's a very good case study for us because when the power first went off in Venezuela, they're like, we don't even know if we can do a cold start. They didn't know if they could. They're trying. So they tried with one plant. The first power plant they tried to bring back online caught on fire.
And for those of you who don't know, Chris was a lineman and excipice in electrical.
I was a heavy industrial electrician.
He's not just like speaking from
I've built power plants. Yeah. And I've worked for power companies. The thing most people don't get is power plants require power to even turn on.
Power to make power.
It takes power to make power. They're not designed to come online in a dark situation, as we call it. A dark start is what we call it in the industry. Because you got to have power there to have all these control systems operating, especially since Obama's war on coal took out so many coal plants and we went to gas turbines. The level of complexity in a gas turbine system as opposed to a coal system is much greater. Now, coal systems, don't get me wrong.
They have issues.
They're complicated as hell. But they're essentially a boiler. It's a fire-burning, boiling water. When you go to gas turbine systems, you've got now gas flow, pressures, regulators, and everything to spin this huge-ass jet engine, because that's what they are. They're just massive jet turbines to produce power. So getting that fired up and running without power is next to impossible. So I read a study the other day that there are 9 power plants in this country that if those 9 power plants went offline at the same time, it would take the entire grid down. All of it would go, because as a plant fails, it pours its demand onto the ones around it. Mm-hmm. Some of those can't handle it. Now this one drops out. Now it's placing this demand on these other guys, and it's a domino effect. They start cascading failure is what we call it, until the country's black. So it's again, romance and reality. They never live up to one another.
So that's a good segue into the third part of SHTF. Now we've gone from personal to regional. To national.
To national, yeah.
And national, I think national is also misconstrued at times.
Yeah.
Let's take 9/11. Oh. Huge tragedy.
Yeah.
That there's a part of us we want to say it was a national SHTF.
Well, because everybody felt it.
Because everybody felt it.
They felt it.
Yeah, you felt a huge tragedy.
Yes.
Now, the only the people really in New York,
Lower Manhattan.
That's where some in Pennsylvania.
Were
the only ones that were actually
Pentagon
affected.
Yeah.
that day in a way that, like, hey, we can't get out of town, or we can't get food, or power's down, we can't get phone calls out. Are there more planes coming into this city? That became a regional SHTF situation. And I had a friend that was vacationing in New York.
Ooh.
He was there from the 8th, and he was supposed to be there until the 15th. He ended up being there multiple days after it because there were no rental cars.
Yeah, he couldn't get out of there.
There was no planes. There was no nothing. So it was one of those things where that's a regional. Now, huge tragedy. Huge. One of the worst things,
beyond
one of
measure.
the worst things of American history that affected the nation.
Yep.
Now, was it a national SHTF situation? No. Not at that moment. Now, I will say, overreaction.
Oh yeah, knee jerk. Yeah.
Knee jerk reactions.
Yeah.
Same with a mass shooting. A mass shooting is a regional SHTF situation that panic buying on firearms,
And
ammunition,
gun parts,
things like that. Make it a national SHTF situation at times.
Yeah.
And what we saw with, like, let's say 9/11 was it started to leak into a national.
Oh, it did. I was standing in a Duke Energy power plant in Mooresville, North Carolina, the Marshall Steam Station. We were there building some huge equipment for the power plant when that occurred, and I happened to be standing in the bottom of a smokestack for the old coal burning plant, where a maintenance guy had set up a little shop kind of thing. He was dealing, and he had a little 5-inch black and white TVs.
Yeah,
That's what we watched it on. But within moments of that happening, we got a call on the radio, and we all looked up the hill, and there were National Guard trucks pulling up to the front of the plant, and troops were getting out. And then we went outside, and there were 2 F-16s flying a pattern between the station I was in and the nuke plant that wasn't, I don't know, 70 miles away or something. But they were just flying a circle around us. All work ceased right then. And it took us a while to even get out of there because they locked the plant down.
Right.
But it took us a little while to get out. I remember Mel calling me. She's like, she was standing in line, I think, at a grocery store or something when it happened, and it started coming through, and she ran back to the place we were staying in. And I'm like, well, I'm stuck in here until they let us go. I can't get out of here. But yeah, it started to creep.
Yeah.
And then we started to see, all right, now they grounded all flights. So then now that's when it went kind of national, when they grounded all flights, because, you were on your way to, L.A. And you're in Atlanta or wherever on a connection, and now you're stuck in Atlanta. And like you said, rental cars vanished, hotel rooms probably vanished.
Everywhere.
All over the country.
Because everybody was stuck where they didn't want to be, and they wanted to try to get away from that.
They either wanted to get to where they were going, or a lot of people like me, I wanted to get home. I wanted to get my ass to the house. But I was in North Carolina, and I was on a job, and so that's how it turns into a national issue. But what's that SHTF kind of look like now? It doesn't look like what we traditionally think of.
Right.
But if you're stuck in Boise or somewhere, or Memphis, and you need to be, 800 miles away, and you can't get a rental car, and now you weren't planning on that. Do you have the credit cards, cash, or whatever to take care of yourself here? Do you have a way to get a hotel or an Airbnb or maybe rent a car, or what are you going to do? All that needs to go into your thought, your process, your plans. Like, I'm flying to Ohio tomorrow only for a couple days, but I've got plans. If something happens, I got to connect to Atlanta. And I've already called a friend up there. Hey, dude, something. Yeah, you're good. Don't worry about it. So, I plan ahead just in case. So.
Yeah, and so I mean, that's what this discussion really was you have to take the general term, SHTF, and you have to start to break it down. There's only one way to eat an elephant.
Well, and I think that, basically what we're saying here is the SHTF thing is scalable.
Yeah. 100%.
It's scalable. So,
and start at the bottom.
And yes, yeah,
not at the top.
Yeah, don't start at the top. Start at the bottom. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, as most Americans do, I mean, a lot of us do that. It's just the way life is. Start trying to squirrel away a few dollars. Yep. Putting some money back so that if the transmission goes out in your truck or your car or whatever, you can get that fixed, and it's not a life-altering moment for you. Or if you wreck a car or something, Start there and work your way up. And I get the fear and anxiety of people. Well, if it happens and I'm not going to be ready, well, if you lose your job next week in a layoff or something and you're not ready for that, that's far more likely a scenario to happen to you.
Yeah, and this is this video is by no means to scare anybody.
No.
Help, and it's not the doom and gloom.
It's perspective.
And I think that's what everybody goes through. They go straight to the doom and gloom. It's going to suck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Instead of,
I don't think enough people grasp the level of suck. I don't think enough people really get it. Again, we live in Florida. I don't want a major event to happen because I live in Florida. You know what a summer is like in Florida without air conditioning? Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up that way. But just that thought of that fills me with dread. It gets so hot down here that, you can't. It's hard to sleep at night. Camping in the summertime, or when we go out and train in the summertime, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
And to now know that I have to live and work in that every day, because there's going to be a lot of work. Everybody underestimates that too, how much work it's going to be, and the potential for everything to be done on foot too, which we're going to talk about something on that here in a little while. But your world's going to shrink.
Yeah.
Potentially to how far can you walk, and I think a lot of people they think it's a sexy thing. They want to return to a simpler time, and trust me, I get all that. I'd love a simpler time too. If we could go back to like 1950, as far as how people treated each other and how we all looked at each other as Americans, as one nation, to me, that would be awesome. But that ain't gonna happen. So we got to deal with the reality, and there are some scary things out there to genuinely be afraid of.
Yeah. And then let's take it to the fourth step of an SHTF situation: global.
Well,
global is I think where most people want to start with. Man, Putin and Kim and
Well, I think most people
like that.
I think most people start with the national ones.
Yeah.
And then, but the global ones there too. I mean, everything from what if Yellowstone erupted to, a big meteor, or God forbid, of these three, Yellowstone, meteor, nuclear war. Nuclear war terrifies me the worst.
Yeah.
Because it's far more likely than the other two. Actually, far more likely. So that one scares me more than anything.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a current conflict going on right now between India and Pakistan.
Yep.
Both of which are nuclear powers. Both of which have first strike doctrines against their enemy. And now, would that affect us in the U.S. if them two started lobbing nukes? It may not. We may have no effect.
Right.
But that's kind of also an unknown. If these guys started nuking the hell out of each other, and then their surrogates got involved as well, as far as China's back in Pakistan.
It's kind of like a bar fight.
Iran's
a bar
back
fight
in
always starts with two guys.
Yeah, it starts
and
with
then
two guys.
It usually ends up being a mass of people.
Yeah. So, there are big things to be afraid of. But again, scalable. What's more likely to happen?
So this is just a little discussion. These are the kind of things that Chris and I, because we always want to provide information that, number one, is information that you can take and think about, and it improves your current status, we believe. But it's also, Chris and I have these conversations because it makes you think about where you are.
Exactly. Like I said, the book we're doing, that book is designed to make you think. Are all the answers in that book? No, they're not. And a lot of it is left very ambiguous for that reason. We want you to figure you.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you some stuff to chew on to do that. Like I said, it's a very different take on a survival manual. It's unlike anything anybody else has done, in my opinion.
So we'll end with this. Set a plan. Divide it into the regions, sections that we talked about.
Scale it out.
And start to make a list of the things that you personally will have to go through. Personally, regionally, nationally, and globally. And I believe if you do this, I think it'll de-escalate a lot of people's fear.
Yeah, it'll take down the anxiety a little bit. It'll knock the anxiety down a little bit because you're taking proactive steps and you're doing something. Which is always good because in any crisis we all want to feel like we're doing something to improve the situation. And one of the best things you can do in a crisis to improve the situation is to not be one of those people needing resources of those responding to the crisis. So keep that in mind. You know, that's the whole reason I got into preparedness. We live in Florida. Hurricanes come through, and every time one happens, you see the same things. Lines of people waiting for water, bags of ice, gas, batteries. And I didn't want to be that guy standing in line. It was that simple. I'm like, man, I don't want to stand out there for 3 hours to be handed a gallon of water and a bag of ice, because that's what they do. That's what they'll do. That's what you get. And that's why I started preparing. So now when a hurricane comes, the last one that came through, I didn't even go to the grocery store. I didn't have to do anything.
My wife wanted some ice cream.
Well, see, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
the little cashier lady, I think I've told this story, the little cashier lady looked at me like, do you not know that there's a Category 5 hurricane? And I was like, do you not know my wife? She wants ice cream.
Now!
Like, that was my situation at the moment. But we were so set that I was like, yeah, I'll go down to the store. And I kind of wanted to go just to feel
I don't even want to go feel it. I don't even want to go see it.
And there was no bread, no batteries, no water, no hardly anything.
There is more French toast made after a hurricane, I think, than at any time ever. That's the only thing I can figure they're doing with it. I don't know.
So, but I hope you guys liked this conversation. And, if you got any questions or comments with regards to this, feel free to leave them below. We'll definitely check them out and give our best answers that we can give.
Or we'll make them up.
Yeah.
And, too, if there's stuff you guys want to see this kind of a little conversation about, let us know. And we'll talk about it. We'll even do it live if enough people are interested. We'll do these live where we can interact and answer questions while you guys are here. So, we want you to think. SDI, Survival Dispatch, and the Insider, that's what this is about, is to make you guys think and provide you with resources for information, access to good products too. The stuff we link, the things we talk about are stuff we really use. Yep. That reminds me, I picked up something really cool we should do a video on, product-wise. But
squirrel.
Squirrel. But that's what this is about, is getting information out to you guys and to make you think. Everybody wants someone to give them their answers. No, folks, there's homework, and you got to do that yourself. Anybody who shows up and tells you, I can tell you how to do everything that you need to do to stay prepared, they're wrong, because they're not you, they don't know you.
Yep.
There's advice, and that's what we offer, some advice, but in the end, it's up to you.
Yeah, and guys, if you are looking for more information, be sure to check out the Survival Dispatch Insider. We'll leave a link below so that you guys can click on it. Free 14-day trial, so you guys can hop in there. And we break tons of topics down just like this. We do a magazine editorial layout PDF every single month,
which is awesome.
Yeah, which covers one topic. It's usually 70, 80 pages long, 0 ads, 100% information from 14 different writers. So you get tons of different perspectives. It's not just one person. This is how I do it. You get a really broad selection of information and knowledge from people in different areas, different
different
walks of life,
different life experiences, the whole 9 yards. And and it's $10 a month.
$10 a month after
you guys can probably find enough change in a month to spend $10. And earlier when I said most people don't pay for training, this is also a form of training, because you're going to get information in here that's catered directly to what you're doing and about very specific topics. It's not like Recoil Magazine or Off Grid, where there's a couple pages about this and a couple pages about that and a couple pages about you get a 70 to 80 page breakdown on comms, water, surviving an airplane crash, which is one we're doing right now, which is great because I got to get on one in the morning. But you get we drill down into the stuff for you guys to bring you the best information we possibly can.
So check it out. Click the link below. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, stay safe.